Hi, I'm Holly, I'm a writer, and this is a little writing vlog over the weekend. It's actually Friday, so it's like a long weekend, but anyway, I'm currently working on Project Vampire, and I'll show you the So basically, I'm on chapter 17 out of 20. I don't know if that's gonna stick because I've noticed a few problems with this draft, mainly that I've forgotten the romance from it, which makes sense. There are two different sort of storylines going on at the same time. One of them is the romance, one of them is like the actual, like the plot, but I need to make them a little bit more connected. So this chapter is, so far it's like 3,000 words, a little bit over. I reckon I can probably get another 2,000 words out of it, to be completely honest. Maybe I can't, maybe I'll have to go on to the next chapter, but it doesn't really matter. But basically I have set myself a target of 2,000 words. I'm sitting on my hair, that's really annoying. I've set myself this target of 2,000 words, not because I think that you have to write like 2,000 words or anything in a session, but because I have noticed that I have been a lot more lax with my writing, and I was really dedicated last year, and I didn't write like 2,000 words usually last year when I did write, but I've gotten to a point where like 1,000 words is so easy that I just do 1,000 words and then I'm like, okay, I'm done, and then I stop. Even if I'm technically in a good place to keep writing, even if I'm just as inspired as I will be after like another 100,000 words. But like I feel honestly like I'm not pushing myself. And that's not a problem, but I can push myself, and I feel more accomplished when I push myself, not because again of like the number of the words that I type, right? That's like such an artificial thing to care about. But treating it like it's a serious thing that I sort of have to do encourages me to stick with it, even if I'm not necessarily loving it. And I feel like it helps me because like the rolling momentum keeps me going throughout the weeks. And so like for the past few days I've been doing that, and there was a day where I didn't hit my target. I got 1,000 words done. But on the days where I hit it, I get to like 2,200. It's not like I'm struggling to get to 2,000 words. It's just that I'm not doing it because I'm being lazy. And I feel like that's the problem really, is that I don't want to become lazy, because especially when you consider that like I'm in a really good position now for writing specifically. It's a wild thing to say about my life in general, but I am taking another year off of university, so I will not be at university until next year. That is gonna be such a shock to my life when it comes to writing, where I might even have like a book deal by then, you know? Like, we don't know. I would hope I would, but we don't know. And I think it's kind of crazy to consider that there is like that chance that I'm gonna be working with my writing, and I'm gonna also be doing university work and, you know, everything else, trying to be a social person, which admittedly I've never been the person who goes out and does like loads of stuff all the time, but I think it's still important to acknowledge that I'm not going to be in the place where I'm at currently, where I have every hour in the day available to me to write if that's what I want to do. I'm not going to be capable of doing that. And on the one hand, that's a great thing because it'll mean that I'm well enough physically to go and do stuff, and I want to go and do stuff. But it also is like really difficult when you're in this mindset of, well, I'll just do 1,000 words and then stop. Because I might not be able to write every single day. I might, you know, I might make time. I might make time to read my 50 or so pages. I read at the moment for an hour and a half every day. Now I'm gonna have to read books for my university course. At the minute I'm reading 2 books. I'm reading the Paratrooper Training Manual, which, how many pages? I'm on page 100 and there's like 160 pages, but it's not like, it's not as difficult as it sounds to read. And then I'm reading Heartbeats on Air, which is my friend's book that got published, and I read like 30 to 50 pages of this, give or take, and then I read 50 to like 70-80 pages of heartbeats on it. And that's my reading for the day, and I'm annotating one, and the other is like research for my book that I'm going to be doing next. I think it depends, honestly. But like I'm not going to have the time to do that, you know, because I'm going to have to read for my university course. I'm going to have to do my writing, my essay writing, my dissertation. I'm going to have a much busier schedule, and I need to be prepared to push myself and treat this like a job, because I want this to be a job. I want this one day to be my main source of income. Not because I necessarily want to be a millionaire from this, but because I plan on doing a job that is famously not paid that well. Like, but I think it's important to acknowledge that if I can push myself to write 2,000 words a day, or at the very least to try, like obviously not every day I'm gonna make it, but if I aim to do that and I don't just give up because I've hit 1,000 words, I'm gonna have the sort of work ethic that is gonna be beneficial when I do have less time. And I'll say more about that in general. I have a doctor's appointment that I need to go to at some point. I've not got it yet because of the waiting list, but I'm on the waiting list. And then when I actually know what is wrong with me, and I know where is wrong with me, because there are 2 possible places and they're both very close together, I will be able to talk more about that, and specifically how it has impacted my journey as a writer, because I think that might be really helpful for some people, especially people who've been dealing with like chronic illness for a long time, or maybe who haven't been dealing with it for a long time. But it's been really rough the past few years, and writing has meant a lot to me. And I just think that it's really important that I work harder, because as stupid as it sounds, I have become lazy. Like, I've been writing every day pretty much, but I've become lazy with it. And I've started treating it like I don't really care, and I do. So that's like a really long-winded way of me explaining this, but I'm gonna just do a little vlog over this weekend sort of thing. So it's Friday. It's actually 5:30 in the evening on Friday, because I had to wash my hair today, and that's always like, it just takes the whole day away basically. So tomorrow will be cleaning. I'll do a little mini cleaning vlog maybe. But yeah, I'm home alone this weekend as well, so I'll do a little vlog. I'll show you my thingy, and we'll see how many words I write in the next 3 days. And today I think I'll probably go for like 1,500 words, because it's only half an hour until my usual reading time, but if I push it back and only read from 6 instead of, no, from 6:30 instead of 6, that'll give me an hour. So I'll aim for 1,500 rather than 2,000, but we'll see. We'll see how like flowy it is, you know? I'm getting towards, you saw the thing, but it's like basically 20,000 words from the end of the book. So that's not 20,000 words. Whatever, it's fine. The word count of the book might be a bit lower, because as I said, the romance is very underdeveloped, so that's actually probably a good thing. But whatever, I am in the final stretch, so come with me for that, I guess. So basically I managed to get the 2000 words done, which is kind of crazy, because it has just been like the hour that I gave myself. I'm then gonna go read, and then before that I'm gonna actually just take 2 pictures really quickly for a TikTok trend. There's the one girl 10 obsessions trend, and I have 2 pictures that I don't have yet that I want to use for this trend. So I'm gonna go take those, and then I'll read, and then I will see you again tomorrow. And the book that I'm reading primarily is this one. I'll probably, if I read like 45 to 50 pages of this, then that gives me the same amount to read tomorrow. And then the same for this one, I have like 60 pages, so if I just read 30 pages, and so then I may get finished with my reading in the next hour, which would put me at the usual time. So we'll see how it goes, and then I'll get back to you tomorrow. Hi, I'm in the hall because it's really dark in my room, but basically I just got back. I did my cleaning and then I forgot to mention it, but I was going to my mum's house today just to sort of see her, and I had some stuff that I wanted to pick up, so I did. It's now like 4 o'clock. I'm gonna go grab some lunch. I've just fed the cats, wash my face because I got licked on, and then I'm gonna sit down, try and write my 2000 words as quickly as possible, get some editing done for the podcast that we have, which the next episode that goes out is this Monday, so it'll be like up when this video goes out, and it's for Colleen Conklin, whose like debut book is coming out, and we interviewed her and it was really fun. So basically I'm gonna go grab some lunch, and then I'm gonna sort of sit down and just do my writing, because I'm in a little, again, today it was a more busy day. I had a lot more to do, and so I've left it quite late, but you know, stuff happens, and I had to clean, and then I had to go, and I was there for longer than I thought. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, and I did actually finish Heartbeats on Air yesterday. I decided to just focus on reading one of the books because I didn't have as much time. I finished reading at my usual reading time instead of going half an hour over, so I'll just finish that book today. So I'm hoping that it'll be smooth, and my arm is shaking, so I'm gonna go get my food. Okay, so I've written 2000 words. It is about 20 to 6. It did take a little bit longer than I thought it would to get started. It was actually 4:30 when I sat down. I'm gonna go and just put my washing in the dryer and stuff because it's my cleaning day, so I need to do that. And then I'm gonna just spend the next 20 minutes editing the podcast, which, as I mentioned, is going up on Monday. And then I'll be reading the Pocket Manual, the Paratrooper one, which, yeah, I might give myself an extra half hour to do this because it will only take me like an hour to finish the like 60 or whatever pages I have left. So it should be fine. And if not, I don't have anything that I'm reading in bed at the minute because I just finished reading that yesterday. So I'll be able to read that in bed if I have like 5 pages left or something. So I am going to go do that, and then I will do a little check-in, I think, before I read, or maybe after I've done some reading, depending on how long it takes. Or I might do one like later this evening after I've like had dinner. My mum is coming round. I think we'll probably like play some cards or something. But I'll just do a little update, and then tomorrow is the final day of the vlog. And so I've hit my 2,000 words a day so far. So we will see tomorrow whether or not this works. And so far I will say, like, it's taking me an hour to write like 2,000 words. So my motivation is definitely up. But yeah, I'm in a really interesting part of the story. So I don't want to say anything because it's like so spoilery. But yes, that is it, and I will see you soon. Just finished, and I have about half an hour before my mum gets here, so I think I'm gonna put my bedding on, even though I hate doing it. And I'm gonna also, I think, upload some videos that I've taken since then to my computer to free up space on my phone. I need to get a camera for this, but I don't have the money. So my next read, Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to expect from it, but I thought I would just read it because I'm in a mood for it. I've got a few books that I'd like to read. I think, honestly, there's just so many. But I read one. Oh, and I have to add one to my I finished, I don't know if I mentioned this on my YouTube, but I mentioned on TikTok that I was deciding to just add all of the books that I own into a spreadsheet, and I keep track of the name, the author, and whether or not I've read them. So I like to keep that up to date because it helps me to know whether or not it's reasonable for me to buy a new book, basically. But yeah, next one will probably be tomorrow, and I'm hoping that tomorrow I will actually get my writing done pretty early and then focus on the podcast, and then I'll be able to get back at the end to sort of update you on the total word count for the 3 days. And specific, like, I'll do like a daily breakdown as well. But yeah, see you tomorrow. I would say good morning, but it's 1:20. I forgot that I was meeting a friend at 3 today because my brain just hates me and forgets everything all the time. So I need to do that. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the podcast first because that obviously has like a time constraint to it. So I'm going to edit that. I think I got 15 minutes done out of about an hour and 15 minutes for the episodes so far. So yeah, it's not gonna take a short amount of time, I'm gonna be honest. It's gonna be one of those things where I'm at it for at least 2 hours, I would say. But I'm gonna try and get this done as my priority because this is the thing that needs to be done. And then I'll do my writing after I've hung out with my friend. And if I have to, I just won't write today because I need this done. Like, this is, but that's what I mean. Like, have a healthy relationship with your writing. Don't make it like the be all end all of your day. You have priorities. Don't forget like to do those things over choosing to write. Like, it's not healthy to be shoving everything else aside. But yeah, I'm gonna go do that now. So we are done with the sort of 3 days that I said that I was gonna do this for. It was kind of a challenge, like I'll get into that a bit later, but basically I yesterday did end up filming the end like of the video, but it was really low quality for some reason, like more than it was, like it was driving me insane how bad this was. So I'm redoing it, but basically on Sunday it was very erratic the way that I did my work. I did do the podcast first like I said I would, and about 20 minutes into that, it like my headphones just, they were like no, and I tried to ignore it twice, and then the third time I was like, this is so annoying, so I just put them on charge, and basically on Saturday I had a bit of a crisis with querying for Formation Lab, which is my first book that I'm trying to get published, and I've changed a lot. So I kind of had to calm myself down and be like, look, you've sent less than 30 queries. You literally have changed every single piece from the book itself, which you've rewritten now that your writing skills are stronger and your prose is therefore stronger. You have rewritten your query letter, you've rewritten your synopsis. Like, nothing that I would query with now is the same that I was querying with when I was getting the initial like rejections. So I'm like, why are you getting stressed about it? So I calmed myself down so much that I found a bunch of people to query, and then I sent off 2 queries at like 11 p.m. I sent out the rest. So I do batches of 10. So there's a 10 batch query sort of out in the world right now because I did that. And then as soon as that was done, I picked my headphones back up and I finished editing the podcast. Realised when I finished editing the podcast that I had gotten the dates wrong and that the 16th was not the Monday, it was the Tuesday. So that actually isn't coming out until tomorrow morning. Very annoying, but like it doesn't make a difference really. I did the work and it's been set up so that I don't have to do anything tomorrow. So I'm glad that I did that yesterday because it makes sense that I would do it while I have the time to, even if the reason why I did it technically was because I thought I had to get it done. And then my friend's game had to update. So we actually had like a little bit more time. So I did my 2,000 words after I did the podcast, and then I went and played the game with my friend, and it was fun. So I got everything I needed done. I have the final word counts. So on Friday, I wrote 2,043 words. On the Saturday, I wrote 2,157, and on Sunday, yesterday, I wrote 2,056. And the total, which I'm pretty sure I know, yeah, so it's 6,256 words for the 3 days, which isn't bad, right? Like, it's a pretty good word count. But I think that the thing that I've learned most, and if this is like applicable to you, absolutely feel free to take inspiration. But last year, when I wrote the first draft of my book, it took me 2.5 months, and I only took breaks on the days when my body said no, absolutely not, because that was when I was dealing with a slightly worse situation physically, and so my body was a lot more temperamental at the time. But also, like, apart from the very rare days where my body was just like, no, I think, like, when I look at it, I only took breaks on the final days of each month because I would set myself a target of like 30,000, 40,000 words in a month. And then I would hit that target and I would take the rest of the days off of the month, however long that was. It was usually like just like a few, like a week or so. And I think I really like that idea because I was super motivated. I felt super good about the work I was doing. And it was actually like, even if on the days where I felt kind of lazy, I still ended up writing, you know? Whereas I have gotten a bit lazy, and I think I've been making excuses of like, well, it's okay to take a break and I don't want to get burnt out and all of these like little things. And it's kind of like when you're depressed and you say, well, it's not that bad if I stay in bed until 2 o'clock because I had a big day yesterday, so I deserve a rest. And then the next day it's like, well, you know, I still had a very big day and I feel like, you know, my body needs the rest. And then you basically end up just staying in bed until like 3 p.m. every day because your depression is like, yeah, this is what's good. And it's like, that's not how you're supposed to deal with yourself. You're supposed to have discipline and you're supposed, and like, again, this isn't for everybody, but for myself, I know that when I did this, I have felt so good when I've been doing this. It hasn't been hard. I've not been struggling to get the 2,000 words done. It's taken me like an hour each time to get the 2,000 words done, which is how long I would have spent like a week ago trying to get like 1,000 or so words done. And when I think about that, the real difference is like motivation. Setting myself a goal every day that is like immovable, it means that I have to like try to write. And when I start, it's a lot easier than I think because it's like a mental health thing. It's like a variant of the other things where I just think, well, I can't really be bothered. And the can't really be bothered isn't I don't have the energy or the mental capacity for it. It's I'm lazy and I don't want to do it, so I'm just not going to do it. And it's not even that I don't want to do it because I enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really proven to me that I have been very relaxed about my writing for the past, basically this whole year. And there's no reason for it. I rewrote the entire book that I'm querying in like less than a full month because I was so motivated to do it and I enjoyed it, and because I was like, this is so much better than the old stuff, you know, like the prose is so much more sort of tight and the editing is just so much better, like, and it wasn't even like the actual world or anything, like I didn't change the characters, I didn't change the plot, it was literally just the surface like level, the writing itself that I changed, and it was so easy. And I feel like, yeah, obviously that is easier. It would not take me a month to write a first draft because it just would never take me a month to write a first draft. It would take me a sort of 2-month minimum to write a first draft. But I do think it's still worth acknowledging that like the motivation was always there. The ability to do it was always there. It was just that I was kind of giving in to laziness. So it's kind of difficult to summarize it, but basically I think I've proved to myself that this is a system that works. I'm going to introduce monthly word counts. I think if I actually check, because we are on the 15th of September now, and I haven't done my writing for the day yet. But I only have, according to like the word count that I've set myself for this first draft, because the second draft as well, I'm going to add a lot in, so it's only 80,000 words that I'm making myself hit. And then we'll see when I flesh it out what the second draft has a word count of. But I only have like 16,000 words. That's 8 days. So I can take the rest of the month off after that and type up my notes every day, because I've been putting off typing up my notes for my next project, which I've been kind of umming and ahhing whether I want that to be my next project or not, whether I'm ready to write that. But I think I just want to get it onto the page and like see, because my goal this year was to write like 2-3 first drafts and then not touch them for a while and then come back to them when I wanted to. And if I was to query another book, I do think it would maybe be the World War II one. Maybe. Because I think that's more in line with what I usually write than like the vampire one, because the vampire one is a romance and I'm not a huge romance writer. I think I have like 3 like total, including the vampire one, 3 books romancy compared to like 20 books that are not romance. So it you know, I don't know if that would be one that I'd want to query, because I don't want my debut to be something in a genre that I don't typically write in. And the other book that I wrote, the science fantasy, again, that is the only science fantasy that I can envision myself ever writing. Not the only fantasy, but the only science fantasy. And all of my other fantasies are going to be like epic fantasies set in fantasy sort of medieval kind of worlds. So I don't think that it's a good idea to query either of those, just because of like author branding, which is quite important to consider. Formation Lab is quite good because I do have a few more contemporary stories and like the themes that are in it and like the series as a whole, but otherwise I feel like I need to think about what I want to write next in case of Formation Lab not getting anywhere. And I think that the World War II one, it will be good to get a first draft of that done so that I can sort of plan out the duology a bit more, you know, knowing where it's going stuff. Like I find it easier to visualize the story when it's written, basically. So I think I'm going to do that. But essentially I will be using those goals of like 2,000 words a day and this many words a month, like 40,000 words a month. And I think that that's good. I think it works for me, and I hope that this was a fun video to watch. I did forget to take a lot of videos, and I didn't want to take too many videos of me like doing time lapses, because I don't know if people like that. But I thought that this was a fun experiment, and I've had fun, and I'm very excited to get into my writing for the day, which I'm going to do very soon, like as soon as I finish this video soon. So yeah, if you're like me and you feel like maybe you've been making excuses why you've not been writing, I would highly recommend just setting a target and trying to meet it and like sort of treating it like a job, because for some people that is a nightmare, but for me I think that that is the way to go, and it's something that I did to begin with. So I don't know, like my situation has changed, and to begin with I was mostly bedbound at the time, so it kind of like encouraged me to push myself to be uncomfortable by sitting at my desk for a few hours. So it definitely did have a different purpose, but I just think that that is what works with me and my writer brain. And I've always been someone who loves like the idea of like an office job and like doing the same thing every day at the same time and having like a sort of goal to meet every day. That is something that I loved. So like ever since I was a kid. So this is why I think I'm gonna do this. But yeah, if you have like a writing routine, I have been considering doing a video where I try the writing routines of like my favorite authors. I'm kind of curious about how that would go, but let me know if that is something that you would be interested in, or if you have a writing routine and like if it's kind of, you know, working for you or not working for you. Basically just I love talking about writing and talking about it with other writers. And yeah, I hope that this was fun. Anyway, I'm gonna cut myself off, but thank you for watching and goodbye.